Welcome back. Going in the second half here, drop frames. Zeke,
before we get to any of these goddamn games fucking news, I just want to say, I bet you're going to see this, Rami, and I'm telling you right now.
I was about to mention
I fucking got roasted on Twitter by Rami.
Rami quote tweeted a tweet that said, is it possible at best to be a video game streamer if you, or is it possible to be a video game streamer? Jesus Christ. Is it possible to be a video game streamer if you are at best mediocre at video games? Quote tweeted it with, hey, Ezekiel, question for you. So, yeah, you got. But
yeah, called the fuck out.
It is what it is. You know, that's Robbie in a nutshell. Anyways, Zeke, you played some Dungeon Siege.
This is my answer, just real quick. This is what I'm going to tweet as my reply. Like my dad used to say, if you ain't got talent, you better at least be funny.
All right.
Good line.
Yeah.
I like that.
Still constructing it, though. This is one of those tweets where it needs to be
you got to workshop
on.
You got to workshop it. Let it sit for
or
a
it ain't
little
going to work.
Yeah.
You can't jump on it right away. You got to let it ferment for a little while. Okay.
See, I was thinking just saying F you, like that. Just replying
right
with
to
that.
the point, simple,
and
effective.
that's all.
It might be good. You know, there is a lot of verbose language on Twitter when you just need to cut straight to the point sometimes. You know?
Listen, JP, of all the, we all talk shit to each other. We're like a family that way. I gotta say, your short but sweet replies to certain things get a giggle out of me, like more often than I'd like to admit. Like I'll see like someone tweet at you and you'll say something like, holy shit, or just Jesus Christ, or something like that. And it's like so perfect. And I'm like, I would sweat and torment myself over a reply. And you're just like, fuck that. And I'm like, God, that's perfect.
Now, one might think that it is very quick and snappy, but the verbose language of the full character limit hitting. And then I just think, no. And I just hold down the back and it's just one word after that. So yeah, there is some thought put into that a lot of times. Anyways, let's talk about, you've actually played a decent amount of things. I want to talk about Dungeon Siege though, because this game, I've got some nostalgia for this game. Does it hold up, Zeke? How was the Dungeon Siege for you? How'd it go?
It is really good.
Nice. Glad to hear it.
I'm glad enough people voted for it enough times. It was the reason why it was the last game played is because there are certain like legendary games. Now this one is a fan favorite, but it falls below things like Deus Ex or American McGee's Alice and stuff like that. Like as far as like that goes, or Icewind Dale, stuff like that. But this probably was my, I want to say like second or third favorite thing that I played this CD-ROM-a-thon.
Nice.
It's really, really good. And the thing the thing that really stood out for me that made it so good was several quality of life things that weren't present in a couple of other and now this is an ARPG, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. That weren't present in the other, like there's a loot goblin button basically in this game where you just press the Z and not one character, but they fan out. Like your entire party, like a party of like 4 or 5, they'll fan out and like whoever's closest will grab that shit. But not only that, if you have a pack mule, they'll put it on the pack mule. It's crazy, like how, like, how much that like affects the enjoyment of the game, because it's definitely fun looking at the loot, but having to click individually on each piece of loot is tedious. So like having something like that, it's just a small thing, but it was really it felt really intuitive, and like you said, ahead of its time. The other thing that I really liked was the customizability of your party in what they do given a battle situation. The way you can take your like have macros and go like, all right, on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 keys, instead of doing one action, it's your entire party doing specific actions that you want. So like you have 4 people, you have a tank, 2 DPS and a healer. But sometimes you want everybody just pouring out damage. So you put that under macro 1. And then you want the healer to heal, macro 2. Then you want a healer and a backup healer to keep the tank up, macro 3. And that was really cool to see because I didn't have to stop the action. Like there's a pause button. You can actually pause it and do it turn-based if you want. I didn't feel like I had to do that for this game. Right. Because in the middle of it, if I saw like my tanks up front, like their health going down too fast, I just hit the next macro and a backup healer would start healing the tank as well. So it was really cool to be able to control a party like that. And I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but this one like really streamlined it. Dungeon Siege made it super easy for someone like even like me who plays games very mediocrely, apparently, to understand it. And also the customizability of the characters as well. Like once you pick something, you should like go with that thing. Like if you want an archer or you want a mage or you want this or that. The first few characters were pretty blank slate. You could kind of do whatever you wanted with them. If you wanted to focus on this, that, or the other thing. But once you pick it, it's kind of you specialize just like any other RPG game. You want them to specialize in their talent that you've chosen for them. So tank, stay with tank stuff. Don't like try and dual class or anything. Even that, like people, if I would have had it to do over again with the first starting character, I tried to do 2 things. I was like, okay, we're gonna do magic and we're gonna do bows just for a backup. It's like, don't even do that. Don't even bother. Just stick with bows or stick with magic, combat magic, nature magic, whichever one. Just one thing though. You don't need 2, because they do their jobs. The way the experience is set up is the more you do it, the better you get at that thing. So the more you cast spells, the higher your intelligence goes, and the higher your combat magic skill goes. So I will say that this suffers from a lot of the same shit. Like as far as loot goes, it suffers from a lot of the same shit. Randomized loot suffers from like games like Diablo or whatever, like or PoE even, I think, where an item drops, and you're like, oh shit, that's a great item. But then the stat boosts are like completely in contradiction to what you like want. Like you pick up this staff, which is like, it requires 16 intelligence to use, but it gives you like +2 to your melee skill. And you're like, I don't have this for melee. Right. Like the guy who does melee is not intelligent. He's not going to be able to use this fucking thing. So there's a lot of times where you have to, you just have to, you pick up stuff that you just end up selling or whatever.
Yeah.
Loot Tetris. You spend a lot of time.
That's what I remember.
In menus. Yep. Yeah. You spend a lot of time in menus for sure. And you I'm sure there's mods. People told me about all the mods, but I'm playing it vanilla.
Always mods.
Exactly like it was played from the CD. So that's what I'm going to be complaining about, is the shit that was on the vanilla version. Meaning you can't sort your objects in any other way than like consolidation. Like it just like sweeps them into a corner of your inventory box. You can't sort them by like intelligence requirements. You can't sort them by what gear they actually are. It's like they just throw all the shit in your inventory, and it's like potions are thrown in with staves, are thrown in with helmets, and thrown in with everything. They just like kind of sweep it to a corner. So it's up to you to like mouse over every single fucking item, and you pick up a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You have to mouse over every one of them to see if this one's good for your character. This one does this one does that kind of shit. But the very minor complaints, because a lot of the time what you're doing is like, you don't, in my 14, 15 hours of playing it, most of the really nice items, like I got like 1 or 2 nice items from drops. Most of the really nice items that I equip my people with was from merchants in town. I would just go like sell my shit and find like the best version of whatever the shopkeep had and go, oh shit, that's way better than anything I picked up, and put it in there.
Right.
But yeah, like bear in mind, this game came out in 2000. Well, it was supposed to be released 2001. I think it might have released 2001 somewhere, but 2002 was the actual release date. Blah 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 blah. But it is 19 years old, 20 years old. So there's, I mean, obviously a lot of forgiveness there for being a 20-year-old game. Fuck, it's awesome. It is super good, and it's still fun to this day. Like it doesn't suffer a lot from oldness, like some of the previous games that I played did. The dungeons, holy fuck, they're huge. They are so goddamn big. Like Dungeon Siege is the proper name for this game because you head into a dungeon, it's hundreds of monsters and many rooms. I did not expect that. Like every time I was like, okay, it's got to be done now. It's like my chat was like, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. And I was like, 10 rooms later, I was like, it's got to be done now. It's like, nah, you got about 5 more still. It's like, what the fuck? Seriously?
If I remember correctly, there was also a lot of like secrets in the dungeon, right? Like secret walls and shit like that.
But that's the thing. Like maybe I don't know how to find them.
I mean, you just got a door right there. That was opportunistic of me to mention it right there. But yeah.
But that wasn't a secret door. That had like a face on it.
That was a secret.
Like, was it? I don't know.
I mean, I think so. Yeah.
Like people said that, and I moused over all the walls and stuff like that. I tried to like, because when you mouse over it, like the cursor would change if you could interact with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Those were kind of the tells, essentially.
Yeah. So I did not find a ton of secrets, I guess. I'm not sure like what I was doing wrong, if I was doing something wrong, but if I have like, this is one of those games where I was like, there's a chance that I could continue this game in the future, because I was having so much fun with it. However, I would probably do, because I think it's on Steam or GOG. I'm not sure, one of them, but there's probably some quality of life stuff that would make it a much more enjoyable experience. Just little things here and there. I don't think they need to update it graphically because you're kind of zoomed out most of the time. So graphically, it doesn't take away from the game a lot as far as the polygonal monsters and character models.
Polygonal.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's fun.
Polygonal character models and stuff like that. Because you're zoomed out a lot of the time to see what's coming up and where you're going and yada yada. And sometimes one of the cool things about this is if you want to they tell me speedrunners do this, you can navigate just from the overmap. Like you don't have to be on this view. You can go to the bigger map and you can use that to travel to places that to see places you haven't been, because they use the shadow system. Like, it's blacked out if you haven't been there.
Fog of War stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. But yeah, dude, it's a fantastic game. This is one of those rare games where I would look up and go, oh shit, it's been 2 hours. Holy crap.
It was good.
Because it's just, you're constant stuff to do. Not a lot of downtime, especially if you're in a dungeon, because there's just so much dungeon and so many monsters.
Yeah.
Like you rarely walk into a room that you're not immediately mobbed by something.
Yep. That continued through the second one, and then they never released the third one. Funny enough, it never actually came out.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think they wanted to do it, but it just...
People say that, but I've seen...
No, that must be like they must have I think they got hacked, and the people released the source code if they didn't comply. I think it was one of those scenarios. Yeah.
Oh, is it like Devil May Cry where they jump from 1 to 3?
Yeah.
Okay, kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it was a rumored existence.
Well, they went from 2 to the movie, and then the movie came out, and that actually killed the franchise. Yeah.
So this isn't a game based on a movie. I'm just messing around.
I've never actually seen the movie. I didn't want to. It was one of those things where it was so poorly reviewed that I was just like, no, I'm good. I don't.
So you're telling me Jason Statham is not in this game?
I mean, you could make a character named Jason Statham, I guess.
You could put him in the
Is
game.
that something we can watch
Fair
party?
enough.
I don't actually know. Maybe it might be there. I've never seen it. I've only heard that it's like legitimately one of the worst movies.
Yeah, well, no one should actually pay for that movie, so I don't know if you could watch party it because that'd be offensive.
That's true.
For it to be on Amazon Prime Video and expect people. It's not a Prime Video.
There's nothing Prime. The only thing is that it is a video. It's just not Prime.
Yeah, it is a video. That's all we know about it.
Zeke, did you get any party members? Did you play it long enough to kind of interact with an actual party in here?
Oh yeah, no, I filled out my party. I had
good.
four party members and 2 donkeys, two pack mules.
Hell yeah, 2 donkeys. That's the best.
Yeah, man.
Good
Well,
shit.
and I don't know if anybody else did it this way, but immediately I was like, okay, this is the mundane donkey. This is the magic donkey. Like, it's split up my items. Like, this is all the non-highlighted stuff. You get to keep all that shit that's worth any sort of money that we won't, that we'll just stock up and maybe we have to transmute at some point in time.
Yeah.
And then the other donkey was carrying every magic item.
That's good. The
Yeah.
game still looks good today. It's crazy.
It's really, really good. It's like I would absolutely say that this is worth playing even today. It was a lot of fun. Also, God, some of the, like, I heard that the voice acting in the game was mostly just 2 people. Just 2 people doing all of the voices, a la like Morrowind, where they had like a handful of people doing like every voice. I think this was kind of the same kind of idea. And let me tell you, sometimes, especially if you get a dwarf, it's the scenery has just got bite marks everywhere, all over it. Just, oh, you're gonna do it. Bring your brother and bring him down to the thing. And it's like, it's fucking awful. And it's just a masterpiece.
Nice.
It's so good.
Nice.
I almost spit out my water. So I'm just
They'll
really
sneak
glad.
up on you. They'll sneak up on
Hell
you.
that one in there.
Yeah, it'll
you
happen.
should do the voice acting, man. That's what you should do. You should like hit him up and just be like, "Yeah, I'll do a fan mod," and then every voice is just done by Zeke. Man,
Dude.
woman, dwarf, troll, everything.
I'm telling you, man, if there's ever like a send up game, like a game that makes fun of things, like, because I can't do a good accent, but I can do a good send up of accents.
Yeah,
Sure.
Contact me. I can do a shitty like approximation, but I'll definitely make it worth hearing if you want to do that for sure.
Makes sense.
good.
Cool. That's you only played the first one, right? You didn't dip your toes into the second one. I also don't know.
No.
The second one had GameSpy, if I recall correctly, like so heavily involved with the multiplayer aspect. Could that even work today? Like I don't know if that got
Probably
like
not
patched
multiplayer.
out or how you.
And it was like fully connected to it.
Yeah, it was like in the
Yeah.
game.
Ooh.
It was like connect to the GameSpy servers to play with others. Blah blah blah. Yeah, so I don't even know if you could do that multiplayer, but it's a hell of a thing. It was a hell of a thing. You mentioned this would be the number 2 or 3. What was the default one? If there was the best game you played during CD-ROM-a-thon, Zeke?
American McGee's Alice.
Oh, okay. All right.
That shit was so good.
Good choice.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah. You got to play
Like-
their second one, I think, right?
Are you my chat now?
Oh, is that? Do you get that a lot?
Everybody asks. No, everybody asks. If it's one of 2 or 3 games, everybody, first question from like, hey, how's it going, everybody? Is Zeke going to play the second one?
It's follow. Yeah, it's the
No, it's all good.
logical
No,
follow-up.
I definitely will. I will at some point. That is definitely something that because it was so good that it warrants checking out the more updated version, which is now it's like what 8 years old. It's got to be like 7 or 8 years old now.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know off the top of
Crazy.
my head, but yeah.
But I got to figure out like before any of that happens, I got like some games to play. I got to do an indie weeks and for all the weeks I missed, and then I got to figure out how to get this fucking game updated and working at
Hit
some
up
point.
Bikeman.
Oh.
Yeah. Message
Yeah,
the
that's
old
what everyone said. Picked up, but yeah, hit up Bikeman. I will.
Oh,
Bikeman. Yeah.
did you go back to Dig?
I finished it. Oh yeah, I finished
Oh,
it.
we got to talk about the ending. Yeah. Did you find the scene that Cohh referenced? Which
So imagine as a young kid seeing a particular scene that may have involved getting stuck in something and how
Oh
he,
yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw
I
that
did
scene,
see
I was
that
just
scene,
like,
yes.
what is going on? What is he doing with that thing? Oh my god!
Well, you gotta tell the rest of the class what happens in said scene.
Well, I mean, it's 20-year-old game, so forgive me. I'm going to spoil something.
Okay.
But in the dig, Brink, who, you're really not sad to see bad things happen to that guy because he's kind of a shit the whole game. But he gets his hand stuck in a crevice in the rock or possibly the wall of a structure.
Oh,
so you've since first landing, it's one of the items that you've had in your inventory since the beginning of the game, pretty much. And you finally are like, oh, that's what that's for. So one of your guys wanders off, Brink, and you find him later, and he has his hand stuck in a crevice of the wall. He's like, I can't get it out. I can't get it out. And you're like, well, I have a solution. And you take the jawbone of a native animal of this planet, you've been told by looking at it, it's like, these teeth are super sharp. You're like, oh no, I know what this is for. And yes, there is a cutscene. I'm sure you can look it up. There's a cutscene where they 127 hours did, just right at the wrist.
Yep.
And it's pretty great. It's pretty great because the animations in that game are pretty good.
They don't like cut away. It's just like straight up. They just like saw a guy's hand off.
What's even crazier is what he does right after it. There are these crystals in the game, and he basically like rips his stub out of the wall and then slams it into this like alien crystal thing. And like,
however, however, the
crazy,
crystals
dude.
somehow became, because the crystals are about the size of like the size of a kidney.
Okay.
Like, that's how big the crystals are. During this cutscene, the dude grabs, because the crystals are like they resurrect people. So you crack a crystal like an egg, I guess, and then it drips this goo on them and they come back to life. Like we did it with Brink and we did it with a turtle like skeleton in the game and stuff. They come back to life.
Okay.
But during this cutscene, he finds one that's like as big as a fucking watermelon and just goes like and puts it on the end of his fucking arm, the stump, to stop him from dying, I guess.
Oh, to stop the bleeding or something? Weird.
Or something. You don't really know. Like it's very weird. But the thing, especially about that scene, is I'll never forget because I was thinking to myself, we could use the jawbone as a lever to get his hand out. Like young kid, little me, like, oh, here you go, friend.
No.
And the guy was just like, oh, and I was just like, ah!
Yep.
What have I done?
Just sawed that thing right off.
You sounded, I don't know if anyone else will get this reference. You sounded very much like Day 9's Timmy right there, Cohh. That was almost spot on with Timmy. Anyways.
Oh Lord. Yeah, that was a thing.
And I also got the alternate ending that people are like, all right, you finished the game. Do you want to see the alternate ending? I was like, sure. How do we do that? It's like you disobey her wishes because Maggie, you have two people that follow you to this planet, Maggie and Brink.
Yeah.
During the last part of the game, Maggie sacrifices herself to get the machine that's going to take us back home going. So she sacrifices herself and she dies. As she's dying, she's like, don't use the crystal to bring me back because it won't be the same person that you bring back, blah, blah, blah. Remember what happened to Brink? Like, okay, we promise. So when we went back to a previous save, we totally broke that promise and brought her back to life. And some of the funniest shit happens. She gets up after you bring her back to life and she goes something like, how could you? And she runs away and it shows her running and just jumping off of a cliff. Like immediately. Like the first thing she does, she's like, I told you not to bring me back. Ah! She just fucking runs and jumps off the cliff. And then at the very end of the game, there's a cutscene with you and Brink and Maggie. And in the first cutscene, the super happy ending, she's like, oh, you didn't even bring me back. Hooray. But when you do bring her back, first thing she's like, comes out of this like time portal where the alien people like pulled them out of time and brought them back to life. She slaps you immediately without first. I don't think she even says anything. And the first Brink is like, oh, I'm back. Brink, my name's Brink. I'm back. Hooray. And then Maggie's like, pow. It's great.
Jeez. Dig kept on giving. It turns out.
It was a great game too. Yeah. That was another great game.
Cool. Well, let's talk.
Very cool.
Let's talk Valheim for a bit. It was funny because I stepped into Cohh stream yesterday and was like, hey, what's this game? Because you probably have this. I think I said because you probably have this practiced enough by now. And sure enough, you're like, yep, go check my thoughts video. I have a thoughts video. You can go check that. It is a game, and it's pretty much not really, doing anything new, but it's a great combination of all that. And then I at the same time was also reading on Twitter, like I saw GoldenBoy talking about how it's great and he's super addicted to it. Gathalion talking about how it's great and they're super addicted to it. And so like when Cohh plays, being that we've done, I don't know how many episodes with this, Cohh pretty much will play a survival game. If it's bad or good, and he'll play the survival game, and it's a survival game. I think when other people from like the esports arena or the Destiny arena, granted that's not necessarily a true reflection of Gathalion anymore, start talking about this game, there's got to be something going on with it. So that's why I grabbed GoldenBoy here, because I want to know, GoldenBoy, why are you so addicted to this game? What is it doing that's got you hooked on it? This Valheim game.
Yeah, so for the last like few weeks, I've been playing Pokemon TCG Online. That's like basically been my hook and addiction.
Sure.
So what happened was I have a lot of notifications like most people do on their phones of all these sorts of apps, and one of them is Facebook. And a buddy of mine, Muggs on Facebook, he like put a title and it was like, more Valheim adventures, blah, blah. And then I was like, Valheim, the hell is this? So, I just go and I support my boy. So I like, clicked it, and him and his wife were playing it, ooh la la. So they were playing it, and I was watching them, and it was funny. It looked good. It was like, wow, this game looks really, really sick. So then I just hopped on Steam. I looked and I saw it was just $20. I was like, $20? Yeah, sure. I'll just go ahead and buy it, try it out. Loaded into the game, and it blew my freaking mind, man. Like this game, it is unbelievable how much depth there is in this game. So for context, I do enjoy survival games. I'm not known for obviously being like a variety streamer or, survival games or any of that stuff because of my esports background. But I found myself playing a bunch of different games. Like I've tried Ark out. I've tried what is it? I've tried Rust out as well. Didn't particularly enjoy it that much. Minecraft, play that with my community. That's always been a fun one. We have like our own little server. That was a good time. So I've always liked these games, but something was just always missing for me with all these games, and I never quite knew what it was. Like, for example, for Minecraft, it was like, yeah, the visuals were okay, but you had to put like shaders on, and then that's when like it would get really good. But even then, the characters kind of looked a little ugh. Then Rust was I just particularly didn't enjoy it that much, besides riding on a horse and shooting people. But that was like all I did. And then like Ark was a buggy disaster. Another esports commentator that hooked me onto this game, and I'll never forgive him for it, ZP, told me one day, you should download Atlas. It's going to be the biggest game ever made. Downloaded Atlas. God, I hate him for it to this day. And I have no problem calling him out on it every single time because, hate you, ZP, for that. You made me waste money. Never forget. You stole me $30. So that was like kind of my run-in with a lot of these survival games. But then Valheim kind of, drops on my lap. And you get loaded in right away, and you could tell out of the gate, like it's made by a small studio. You can just see it. Like, but then as you dive deeper and deeper into the world, you see the lush vistas and the skyline, the skybox, the vastness of the map, the variety of things that you can do, the way you can build, and you're like, how the hell is this an independent game? And it's just or a small studio game like that just is mind-boggling. And to make it even crazier is that it's all under a gig download, which is like, you think about Call of Duty and it's like 800 gigabytes. You need like another computer to run Call of Duty.
Sure.
But this game is bigger in scale. And yeah, obviously it looks different and stuff, but it just blows my mind. So I started playing it, and then a buddy of mine, Killicon, we usually tag team a lot of these games together. And he's like, yo, I'll hop on and try it out. It's $20. Why not? And then we sat there and we played for 9 hours straight. and I stream usually 4 hours when I do go live, and I went 9 hours, and let me tell you, my ass hurt. It was I was here for a long time. Yeah, it's just everything about the game was just stupendous. And what's cool is that it doesn't. You guys have kept saying this, and it's so true. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. Doesn't do anything like groundbreaking or evolutionary to the genre. It just does everything right, and that sometimes that's worth its weight in gold for me. So, yeah, that's Valheim.
One of the things that I think you and I think I've heard Cohh say something similar as well, but I'm not sure what aspect it is a thought with Terraria being linked to this game. What about this game is Terraria in nature? What was that thought for whoever wants to jump in and answer it?
I think a lot of it is based around the progression, where it's done in a way with kind of like a tiered boss progression, which makes it really interesting.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of times with a lot of survival games, you just go out and you get your wood, and then you make, your wood armor, and then with your wood armor, you go get the stone, and then you make your stone armor. And it's just kind of this kind of like a tiered without really any form or focus. But what's really good about Valheim is there's people keep asking me like, okay, this is Valheim. You've been playing this game for like 10 hours a day for a week. What do you do? And I said, well, it's a survival game at heart. So if it's really a giant sandbox in a really kind of pretty damn well made procedure world, but if you want something to do in Valheim, you kill 5 bosses. That's what you do. That's your main story. And you basically start next to this big ring, and it's all kind of in Viking mythology. So there's all sorts of like little flavor things in the world. And this big ring has basically these 5 big stones. And there's one little stone next to the first one. And you look at that stone, and it's like, it puts a mark on your map. It says, this is your first boss. Like, good luck.
You can see it on the screen. It says the Elder there. That's that's one of the bosses that you fight. I'm actually circling. Yeah, you're circling over there. Where you go? Perfect. I thought I was like, that's trippy as hell, but no, you did it.
And so basically the premise is that, at the very beginning of the game, they do this good job of having this like crow. It kind of pops up in front of you wherever you are, and it kind of gives you little tips on what to do next. Like, hey, you can make 4 items right now. Maybe you should try making one of them. And then, you make one of those. It's like, oh, cool. You can chop a tree down with that. Wonder what you should do next. And it's kind of like, and it just kind of leads you along a little bit.
That's good.
And the cool thing is where it kind of starts is your kind of general survival game, your Rust, your Age of Conan, your Forest,
Yeah.
You really start to notice like all these really interesting little things in the package. First of all, the world itself. It's seed based, just like Terraria. So you can go to a specific seed, and your character is independent of your seed. So you can have a character that you play on your own game, and then you can just jump in with that character and your friends.
Wow. That's good.
Do a bunch, have fun with them, and then bring all the gear and stuff that you got back to your own world. Awesome.
That's good.
So that's one of the first big things. Then you notice you work a little bit. Later in the game, you get a mining pick. You're mining a node, and then you hit to the left, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa! I just made a hole in the ground. And it actually looks like a hole in the ground. Then you realize that the entire map is deformable terrain. So later you get like a hoe, and you get like, you're able to put ground on and make a hill, or you can smooth out terrain to make your base. So the entire world is not only well procedurally generated, but it's fully deformable. Then, you build a little house like you would in any survival game, and you're like, oh, look, I can, I'll put a fire in here. That's weird. Why am I taking damage? Oh, that's because the smoke system is actually fully simulated, and you didn't put a hole in your roof. So the smoke is filling your house, and you're actually dying.
Nice.
And then you're like, okay, well, let me put a chimney in. And then you're like, cool, I need more wood. So you go outside and you're chopping a tree down, and the tree falls on you and kills you.
Not that
so
happened
like
to you.
Fully physically simulated. I played with my mod team the first day.
Happened to the mods.
By far the most deaths. Trees falling on people. Even better, not even the tree those people were cutting down. So like 2 people go out to cut trees.
Yeah.
Like one would actually kill the other person in a non-PvP server by making a tree fall on their head. It's phenomenal.
Smart.
There's all these little things that just add up to this being like super cool. The food system is one of the coolest food systems I've seen in a survival game. No matter your level, you have about 35 HP, 25 or 35 HP. When you spawn into the game, no matter what level, it's 25, 35 HP. you can have 3 food items. There's so many things you can eat. And every single food item has an HP, stamina, and a duration. You can have 3 at once. And that's how you kind of progress through the game with HP and stamina. So like at my stage in the game, I'm growing carrots, I'm growing turnips, I'm actually making soups, I'm farming animals for their meats and making sausages. So like at my stage in the game, I'm having like sausage, turnip soup, carrot soup. I've got 150 hit points. I've got a stamina bar like this long. It's awesome. But at the very beginning of the game, I could find like berries, honey, and an acorn. And it's like you eat that stuff and it lasts a quarter of the time and you get like a little bit of stamina and a little bit more health. So it's this kind of, it really makes eating and everything worthwhile. It makes farming super worthwhile. It's one of the better systems I've, wow, is Zeke doing that for anyone else?
Yeah.
It's one of the,
I really wish I had the ability to do this whenever I wanted.
I know, right?
You're not doing this?
No, I don't know what's happening, but it's incredible.
That's pretty great.
This is not you doing this like pressing a button. Wow. Okay.
I am drinking a Sprite.
I would have been more amazed the first time.
Same with the deformable terrain. You go to like mine out a giant copper node. You actually break chunks off of it. You find a wooden house, like a procedural wooden house in the woods. You pop down a workbench. You break the whole thing down for resources.
So
it's just super, super cool. And then you tie into like, not only is there tons of stuff to build, all of your skills go up Ultima Online style. So the more you do anything, it all levels up. You run around, you get better at running. You mine, you get better at mining. You
cool.
shoot a bow, you get better at archery. So all of that like, works well. And there's tons of different enemies. The combat is parry-based, block-based, dodge-based. It's actually like relatively connected. So you actually like especially with the bosses, like you have to be on point with the bosses or they will slaughter you, like the big ones.
Yeah.
And then tie that whole thing into like the actual good progression system. Where you beat a boss and you get like a tangible item or thing you can do to then pull you to the next tier. Slight spoilery, but I'm just going to say this to save some people some trouble because I get this question all the time. You can't even mine until you kill the first boss. Like killing the first boss like is basically like unlocks the ability to mine, and then all of a sudden you can get all these new resources.
How many hours is that roughly?
It depends. It depends on how far or how fast you want to do it. It also depends on your
It's
skill.
not that hard. Like it's not like you don't feel like you're being gated necessarily. Like you can fight some of the stronger things in the game and mostly just play dodge the entire time and just like bob and weave if you get the timing right. You don't have to be like the strongest person. You can like slowly but surely wear them down if you're really good with your movement. Because there is like that element to it. Again, it's not perfect, but like it is a really good system. Like the combat's not the best in the game, but it is
serviceable.
It's decent enough that it helps and carries everything forward. But yeah, you don't have to wait that long to take on the first boss. And then once you get the ability to mine, then it opens up a whole new world of possibilities to you, because then you could start creating moats. You could start because like what's really sick about the game is it also encourages a lot of movement, right? Because if let's say, or like yesterday, for example, I decided to go out and mine for copper and tin so we can make bronze. And I went out with my cart. There's a push cart you can get, like a little dolly cart.
Nice.
And I'm running around the forest with my lantern out, just like I am right there, running through the forest with my lantern, except I got a cart behind me, and it's taking all sorts of damage, right? And I was just like, man, I can't get this through because like it keeps taking damage from like bumping. It's a wood cart, for goodness sake. So then I just had the bright idea that I'm gonna build a road. So I built an entire road like into the forest.
By just flattening the land, or like what's the process?
Not
I
only
flattened the land, I cut through a mountain with dude, it's actually you should probably go see it. It's wild.
Cool. You can take out a hoe and you can actually like there's a section called pathing, and I did this entire thing in my first area too, where like you find a node out 5 minutes from your base, and then you actually take this hoe and you can do a path on the ground, and what that does is clear out all the vegetation and prevents vegetation from spawning there. So you can actually then, like, the first thing I'll do is I'll make a path going out there with the path tool, and then I'll go back and flatten it. So then you can, like, ride the thing on it. And I went as far on my first one as going, and then I put, like, lanterns every little bit. So, like, lit up in the night.
Yeah.
Cool tip, by the way. You can actually take the glowing mushrooms you find later in the game and put an item stand on top of a pole, and then you can stick a glowing mushroom on top of a pole. And it just
So
glows.
smart.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. I read that on Reddit.
So,
but Yeah, it's
Do the
super cool.
mining nodes respawn from the first place that you mine them from? Okay, so you're just doing that for
Very
like the
little
resource
response in the
gathering.
game. There's dungeons, you clear them out, they're gone. You find a copper node, you mine it out, it's a giant hole in the ground, it never comes back. Tin nodes are the same way. Now, of course, you can always just make a new world, but these worlds are gigantic, JP.
I keep seeing the map here. Yeah,
hours to get to one end to the other if you were on foot. Now there's full boat systems. There's like 3 different boats, and I'm not even through the game. Maybe there's more. So that all works. There's things you have to watch out for in the ocean, so you have to keep that in mind. But yeah, dude. I mean, this game has so much.
And what's cool is that it also does this thing where you have to be very tactful about where you decide to build, right? Because you would think, like in other games, that you would just, grab the ore, right? And then there are portals, so you can just take a portal and go to your next area, and that's where you can mine everything. Nope, you can't do that. You can only go through a portal if you don't hold ore, because ore cannot pass through it. So in order for you to get ore from one place to another, you have to load it into a boat and ship it across the ocean, like you would in real time. Of course, portals
don't exist. I'm doing here.
But so like that's what he's doing. He's going to the swamp. He's going to go find iron. When he gets there, he'll mine the iron. He'll put it into the boat, and then he'll ship it to where he needs it to go. Like we were having shipping runs of boats going back and forth, bringing ore from one end to the other in our group, and it's just incredible. It's incredible.
Man, if they would have thought of this in the old times, man, it would have been like revolutionary.
Yeah, if they had a portal in the old times.
It's funny you mentioned old times, Zeke, because one of the reasons I really love this game is it does feel like you're playing an older school game. You die in this game, you drop everything on you, and you have to go right back to where you were to pick it up. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Like you go on a sea voyage with your best ship, and you land in a plains area, and all of a sudden this little bug flies at you. Oh, isn't that bug kind of cute? Yeah. One hit later, you're dead. You don't have a boat. You can't get back to your corpse. Like everything stops.
Does it mark your body on
you lose almost 10% of your skills every time you die.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it is a brutal game in many cases.
You die from disease?
What's up?
When the bug gets you?
No. It's called a death skeeto for a reason.
Yeah, no. One hit and it kills you.
The mythical death skeeto.
The mythical death sketo.
So it's not just a clever name.
They had to lower the damage of it because so many people complained. No joke.
That's awesome.
It's hard to shoot.
Is this a dungeon? What is that?
Yeah, that's one of the dungeons that you do.
Oh wow. Okay,
so for instance, you can't get into that dungeon until you do a certain thing with the boss earlier. So it's like all the progression is really cool.
I'm saying a lot of Terraria then, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's honestly at the end of the day, it's this amalgamation of stuff from other games. All of it works. It's nearly bug-free completely. It's relatively well balanced. The combat is skill-based, just like GoldenBoy was saying. Like if you're good at the combat, you can get a ton done a lot quicker than other people. Or you can like farm your ass off and build really good armor and shit, and you can go in fully prepared. And like there's a huge amount to farm, huge amount to do, huge amount to build. Like the building system is one of the easiest, most intuitive build systems I've seen, outside of having to put workshops everywhere. I think that's a little weird. I kind of hope they address that at some point. Maybe make you have like a portable workshop or something on you. But yeah, I mean it is a great example of taking a lot of things that other games have done, putting it together in a really nice package, and making it all work incredibly well.
Is there any class system?
And it's early access. It's early access, by the way, which is even more impressive.
Yeah. And they've got a full roadmap already with tons of good things that they have already coming out as well. It's only $20. This game has no business being only $20.
That's what I
want to yell at those guys. I would have paid $40 for this, you jerks.
Isn't that the Terraria?
You're going to be priced for money easily.
This is just Terraria then, because Terraria was always cheap. That's how it did so well. Initially, at least, it got in people's hands by being cheap.
They announced question. Oh, go for it.
Go ahead, please.
I was going to say, there are no classes. That's the cool part. You establish what you want to be, right? Like, I have a buddy of mine that's very, very good at archery. I have a buddy of mine that's a great builder, someone who's focused on mining, one friend who's focused on dying all the time. You choose what you want to do. You choose who you want to be.
Little shade there, GoldenBoy G.
Oh no, yeah, no. One of my viewers
really
he dies all the time.
If you don't have food on you, most enemies, especially not in the first region, will one-shot you. Like it is not hard to die. Now, of course, you can always go out prepared, and you know, you can brew health pots, you can ferment mead, you can have buffs on, you can do all sorts of things to stay alive. But if you don't do all that, you can get destroyed. Like the first time you run into a troll is death for most people, because you're running along, everything's cool, and then all of a sudden here comes this mob with giant sweeping attacks. You know, you don't have enough stamina to even block it properly, and by the time it hits you, it's doing like 90% of your life the first time you see it, or just outright killing you, which is, if you don't have food on, is probably more of a thing. But yeah, it's really cool. Like this is a game that I think could appeal to a lot of different people.
Is there a hardcore
just
mode?
Because again, how well it's made. What's up?
Can you play hardcore? One death?
I don't think that's in yet. I mean, of course, you could always RP that, but
sure,
you know,
that's true, I guess.
Yeah, you can just make. Well, I know, for instance, a lot of people were doing hardcore mode in Terraria by re-rolling their world whenever they died. You could do that in this game easily. So whenever you die, you just say, "I'm done with that world." Like you can even take your character and what you've learned to another world, everything on you at the time, or even maybe just nothing on you, because you'd have to go back and get your corpse. But no, you absolutely can do something like that in this game for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things here, and they have a roadmap that they talked about that has a bunch of different things that they want to improve upon and add. Like one of them that I'm personally excited for is the Ships and Seas update it's like the third one. They plan to release a sandbox mode as well, so that you know you can build what you want. And I think that's also the part we haven't really gone into detail of as well. The building system in this game, it's unbelievably detailed, because you can create awesome house structures, like your typical house structure. You could do 4 walls and you're done, right? But there is a various systems in the game will prevent you from just like doing something basic. Like, for example, you have to ensure you have a thatch roof. You can't just put like flooring and make it like a square. You got to do a thatch roof, because that's how you prevent your build from getting withered and then eventually destroying, right? Like they'll fall apart, because the game has torrential rainstorms that sweep through that look phenomenal, by the way. And that's a crazy feature. Then there's also the integrity feature that they have, where if, let's say, you build something big and grand, right? Like chances are the roof may not sustain itself because it's not being supported by beams and poles. So you can't just like go crazy building something huge like you can like in Minecraft, for example. Like, yeah, you need to have like a base. But in this game, you have to have support structure. So you have to think about that as you're building your home out and how you want this to look. Because the game will tell you if it is potential for it to fall apart. Like you'll see that the color of the object will be red. Like if a wall is like really high up, it'll be red. That means it has no support. It's probably going to come down in like 2 minutes if you don't add anything to it. And then like blue means like it's on the floor. It's as stable as it could possibly be. And then you have to do other things to try and like maximize the efficiency of your structure. Like things like that are just mind blowing. And then on top of which, you can also completely terraform the entire land if you want to your fitting. If you want to make it flat, you could do it. Like the game will allow you to. It's insane.
So I have a big build plan.
Does it feel like you need to build a base? Can you just be an adventurer without a base?
You could. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can.
Because
and what's even cooler is to give you a lot of tools to do that. So like they encourage base building in a way by having this thing called the comfort system, where essentially if you make a fire and you hit X next to it, you'll sit next to it and you'll get a buff called resting. And depending on, and then under that, you'll see a word comfort : and a number. So the way that it works is if you have things around you and around that fire that inspire comfort. So if you're in shelter, if you have like a bed, if you have things hanging on the wall, a table, chairs, trophies, like these things can inspire comfort. And as that comfort value goes up, after resting for a time, you'll get this buff called rested. Now, if you just build a fire and you sit X in it and you hit X to sit next to it in the wilderness, after a while you get like a 5-minute rested buff. But if you go do that same thing in a house that has like a 9 comfort level, you'll get like a 16-minute rested buff. So it gives you, good reason to build a base and such. Now on that note, a fire takes like 5 wood, 5 rock. You can literally get that in 30 seconds anywhere. So if you never want to build a place, you can literally, find a rock, mine out a hole, walk into it, you're in shelter, put a fire outside of it to get your fire buff and just sit down, and that'll be like shelter bonus. You get like 3 comfort. It'll be like an 8-minute rested buff, and then you just go about your day. Or you just don't use the rested buff if you don't want to, but it gives you a huge stamina boon and like all sorts of good stuff there. So you absolutely could do that. For sure. There's a bed system though. So if you build a bed and hit E on it, you respawn at that. So you can make a base and continue respawning there. But that initial circle where the bosses are acts as a perma bed. So if you don't want to do a bed or you just want to roam around, just know that you'll always pop up back there if you die. And you will have to go back to your corpse if you want your gear.
Cool. We're a little short for time, but Zeke, if I'll do rapid fire here real quick. Then if you have any questions as well, we'll let you jump in. What happens if you dig straight down?
Water level.
Yeah.
There is a persistent level of water that is probably like 5 to 10 hits down.
So you're telling me Tim the Tatman was right this entire fucking time? Oh my God.
Time Tim was right. Absolutely. He nailed it. And we all laughed at him, but he nailed it.
You also want to know another little funny fact, and this one is going to be quite controversial. The world is flat as well in this game.
Maybe controversial to the wrong people.
That's true. You can go over the edge, but that does also align with Norse mythology and stuff. So I guess it makes sense.
Oh,
so you go over the. It's not like an invisible wall. You fall.
You go over the edge and you die. Yeah. You go over the edge.
It's a literal plane.
Here there be dragons.
Yeah. What can you like build on the edge of the world and live in the sky? Did you do that?
You can build at the edge of the world. It would be really hard. If there's like an island there, you could probably do that. But you could terraform it, I think. But I haven't. I haven't even thought about doing that. If you drop
enough dirt, like in the middle of a lake or whatever, if you drop enough dirt in the middle of a lake, can you make an island?
Oh, absolutely. People have. Yeah. Now, here's the thing: if you sail around the ocean, every so often you'll see where the procedural generation like pops a little bit of land above the water. And what you can do is you can take a hoe, but the thing is it takes 4 rocks to do it, but you can raise the terrain. So I've definitely seen a couple streamers who have like, you can put down a portal wherever. Put down a portal in one place, put down a portal somewhere else, you give them the same name, it's literally a 10-second load to bounce between them. So like a lot of people have like portal rooms in their base that take them all over the map. You find a boss, you pop a portal next to it, and boom, you can get there instantly from your base. So what some streamers have done is or players, I should say, because I've seen lots of these, is they find a little island in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the ocean, pop down a portal, go back to their base, mine a bajillion rock, and then take that out and just slowly build out landmass. Slowly build out landmass. And then you can smooth it, you can change it however you want to, start putting down construction stuff, and all of a sudden you have a castle in the middle of the ocean.
I think maybe, I don't know if you were wondering this, JP, but it made me wonder this. Okay, picture like this is the world, like this is the edge of the world, right? Can you build like up and out?
No,
like up and out, and like have a little house like off of the edge of the world.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Here's how it works. Like GoldenBoy pretty much nailed it. Basically, if you put any construction on the ground, it's blue. Every piece of construction past that gets a lighter shade, goes from green to yellow to red to blood red. And by the time you get to blood red, if you put any construction on that, then it's just going to break after about 3 or 4 seconds. So a lot of people thought it was a height thing. It's not actually a height thing. It is a number of connections to a ground point. Knowing that, by the way, makes it a lot easier to build. So if you're trying to build a superstructure, keep that in mind, because some construction elements are longer than others. So like there's this type of wood called core wood that comes from pines in a higher level area called the Black Forest. If you build a base out of core wood poles, which are significantly larger than a single piece than the normal wood, you can actually build much higher structures, which is how people are building these like monolithic, like giant log house, constructions. Now, it doesn't work in real physics. So if you build like a roof like this and you put joists between it, that's not going to do anything because those points aren't actually touching to the ground. It's all based on how far from the ground in terms of junctions.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Which is why people want to see the sandbox mode so that they could see how crazy the builds would get. Because right now you are limited by what you are able to gather. And and it always depends too. Like for us in my group, what we've been doing is like locations have been varying. Like we had one central spot, but then as time has gone on, we've like, oh, we found the spot in the Black Forest. We just decided to take ownership of it. And then we've like found another spot where my buddy Scan went and he died instantly. So we called it Scan's Folly. And now that's like our little port town. And yeah, so, we've done a lot of really fun stuff like that. And what's the best part about this entire game is that, especially with friends, but also by yourself, it really is a choose your own adventure. Like you can approach it however you want. And that is the beauty of it. And it's the best game.
The best game. Back of the box.
It is one of the best early access games I have ever played. And I play a lot of games.
Yeah.
like it is by far one of the best early access games I've played.
Yep.
It feels like a completely finished product. It has more content than many finished products in early access.
Dang.
Yeah.
Real quick, Cohh, what's solo play? Thumbs up, thumbs down? What's the quick answer to that?
2 thumbs up. It's
okay.
very much it's very similar to a game called Outward. If you've heard of the RPG Outward, we've talked about it a lot on this channel.
Yeah.
It is basically just, I couldn't have said it better than GoldenBoy just said. It's a choose your own adventure. Like the progression is excellent. There's always something to see and do. If you're like me and you're a player that makes like to-do lists in your head, it's constantly getting longer and longer and longer and longer. You can build the biggest base you want to. I have spent probably 50 hours in this game so far. I'm still clearing out the area that I'm planning to put my big base. In fact, tonight for my cozy stream is the first time I'm going to start building like my big build. I've been just preparing.
I'm watching that.
Nice.
I'm turning my previous base into just a giant farm because I can. It's really, really, really cool. It's also great with friends. I had a phenomenal time with my mod team. I played with my mod team the first 8 hours that I played. It was a great time. There's tons of laughs to be had. There's tons of adventures. Lots of reasons to co-op. The world gets harder when you do, so it's still a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun with friends. It's fun solo.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it's Terraria in nature, that you can just jump out of your world and join someone else's and bring your character, I think is a giant plus.
Yeah. We're talking about making an arena to do multiplayer combat, to do like a 2v2 or 3v3 combat in an arena, so that we invite people and we were like, all right, this is the arena. Everyone fight, bring the gear you want, and then we'll all just kick each other's ass. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
That's cool. What were we going to say, Cohh?
Actually, 3 quick things that are really cool. 2 amazing design decisions and one other thing. They just announced today, I think, they've sold over 1 million copies.
Saw that. Yep.
Oh, that's
pretty
wonderful.
Awesome. $20, it's like $20 million. So they deserve every penny.
Yeah.
Also, like talking about good design decisions.
Hold on, let me calculate that.
Things that just make the game more fun. And these are things that when I came across them, I was just like, thank you. Like, thank you for not making me deal with this. Food never rots. You never have to deal with that. You never have to do like anything like that. It just doesn't rot. And then here's one of the coolest things. All your equipment can break. You go to the bench that you made it at. There's a button. You just click that button a bunch of times and it repairs it. No cost, no problem. Just like all you have to do is go back to the bench and you just click a bunch of buttons. Your ship is about to die. Cool. Go down a workbench, click on the ship. No cost. It just repairs back up to full. It makes it so it's like it's a mechanic that's there and you have to be concerned about, but it never feels like it's in the way. You're never like, oh, I need to go mine more stuff so I can fix my pick, or you're just like, oh, let me just go repair real quick. And it just works.
It doesn't bog you down with useless details that other games would to try and like get you to play more, because I think they knew that they had enough content in this game to keep you hooked for a very long time. But to force you to go out and mine more ore so that you can fix your pickaxe was stupid. Yep. So yeah, I'm all about that.
Stuff from this genre that has notoriously been annoying or frustrating, they seem to have streamlined in this game. Your ship gets destroyed. I found it today. It drops all its resources. Cool.
Yeah.
Pick them all up and build another one. It's just like intuitive little stuff where it's like, man, that really sucks, but I can still keep having fun really quickly. I don't have to like make it this huge ordeal. While at the same time, the game does a good job of making it so there's still like a lot, you really don't want to die because you lose skills. You really don't want to, if the further you get from your base on your boat, the more you're like, oh man, I can't die because I don't have another boat. I can't get back out here. So it adds tension while not being annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was curious, so I went and looked up the devs. This is their only game, but the publisher is the same publisher, but behind Deep Rock Galactic, Satisfactory,
Oh wow.
Goat Simulator, Sanctum 2, Sanctum 1,
And
Puppy Fever,
and
the hot VR
Subnautica?
game.
Yes,
I was
the dev
Subnautica
team
too.
is relatively new as a team,
Oh.
but they have a lot of experience on the team.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was this game known about? Because I literally just saw it pop up on Twitter like over the weekend, and then I saw everyone was playing it. What, people know this thing was coming out, or did it literally just launch onto Steam and people were like, "Hey, this game's pretty all
I
right"?
think there was a beta. I'm almost certain there was a beta that people played in, because there are a lot of people in the subreddit. They are like they were like sharing like some tips from that. But it wasn't like widely known, like most of these games, it kind of just like flew under the radar. Then, a couple streamers pick it up, then other people pick it up, and then, it starts to pick up like wildfire. I think there's a very high ceiling for this game. That's the reason why I think there's a lot of excitement around it right now, because with it being this polished and in early access right now, who knows what else they could possibly do, like where it could go. Modding could be very big in this, right? How the worlds continue to evolve, and all the logic behind the world building. Like there really is a lot of layers that could I think that could be game changing for it. So who knows? It's already a strong base.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys mentioned Terraria, and I think if you look at that game's trajectory and kind of how crazy it got, the fact that we were saying it could support Google Stadia, and that's going to be a big thing missing. I look at this game and kind of see a lot of that as well. So hopefully they keep up with the patches. But from everything that you guys have said, they've already patched it a handful of times and fixed things that the community's been talking about. So it's cool to see. I'll be jumping into it like later today, so I'm glad you guys hyped me up for it. Because I want to see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see. The thing is I only have 3 hours, and so from what you guys have said, I'm gonna have to like tear myself away from the PC to go get my dog in the freezing cold. So can't let all
dog's important. So you want to go get that.
You
want to get the dog.
Yeah, that's what.
But then you're gonna come back and want to play Valheim. It's win-win.
Probably. Yeah, it's probably the case. Anyways, let's do some shout outs and call it a show. Zeke, why don't you start us off as always?
You bet. First, thank you guys for watching every week. If you do, appreciate that. Second, thank you to Golden Boy for being here. You're awesome. You're the best. I love you, man.
On,
You're the greatest. You're the goat. You're the goat. My name is Ezekiel the Third. You can find me at / Ezekiel _III on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. I will be on my Guff's stream in about an hour, hopefully in about an hour, for some rough specs. We're going to be doing some more makeup stuff today. If you want to check it out, twitch.tv/ClassyKatie. Well, that's where I will be in an hour, hopefully, because I am going to run out and take my PC to not Circuit City, to Micro Center. God damn it, dude. Yeah, I've dated myself there. To Micro Center to get a fucking BIOS update, because I didn't realize the motherboard I bought and the CPU I bought do not have compatible BIOS signatures, so they have to do a little BIOS update. And no, I can't flash the BIOS because for some reason this doesn't work on this.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing
I was about
today.
to talk.
But tomorrow at noon Pacific, that's my old time, 10 a.m. Pacific, I will be starting the Medium. Been wanting to check that out. CD Ramathon is done, so now I can check out some new games. So that's what's coming up for me. That's all I got. Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Cohh, do some shout outs.
Absolutely. My name is Cohh. As always, thank you to Zeke and JP. Big thank you to GoldenBoy. It's been a lot of fun today. Appreciate you being here. I will be on tonight in about 2.5 hours to start our build in Valheim. If you'd like to check that out, we'd love to see you. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., we're also going to be going after the third boss after we make a full set of new gear, which I farmed for 4 hours today to get. So it should be very cool. So in other words, I will see you tonight in 2.5 hours. If I don't see you then, see you tomorrow morning. If I don't see you then, see you next week. More fun and games here on Drop Frames. And as always, thank you for watching.
Awesome stuff. I'm going to be jumping into Valheim like right after this show for the first time. So I'm going to go find that troll and die in seconds. That's the goal. Is to find the troll.
Yes.
And see how it goes. Tomorrow I'm going to be jumping into the world of role playing on the GTA No Pixel server for the first time. I'm actually kind of nervous about it, but my friend Sips is going to be joining us, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know what to expect. We'll see if that's going to be a mainstay on the channel or if it's a one and done type deal. We're also doing a first like sponsored stream tomorrow with a company called The Big Bad Toy Store. If you go to itmeJP/toys, I get to shop tomorrow for an hour for toys. I was given $1,000 credit, and I can just buy toys for an hour. So if you want to tell me what toys to buy, stop by. It'll be fun.
Dude, what?
Yeah, it's like the greatest
That's
sponsorship
awesome.
of all time.
Wow.
They literally,
Wow.
the story behind it is actually more incredible to me. They literally had someone at the company who watched my stream, saw the background that I have behind me, not the green screen, of all the toys, and said, hey, we should reach out to this guy and see if he wants some product. And I'm glad they did, because that's an incredible stream that I'm very much looking forward to, especially the fact that I can just order really lewd anime and Aaron can't say a thing because it's sponsored. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
it's going to be a good time. Anyways, Golden Boy, please do some shout outs. Thank you so much for coming on. Always a pleasure having you here. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, thank you everyone for having me. As I said before, I have nothing but love and respect for you guys. Watch every day. So thank you for continuing to entertain. As for myself, you can catch me on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I stream a variety of games, lots of Pokemon trading card game online, and of course, the glory of Valheim. So tomorrow I'm actually doing a massive box opening for some Pokemon cards that I managed to snag for a really, really low price. I'm kind of excited about it. I'm a collector. So that's going to be happening. And I'm also going to be hosting the Twitch Gaming Winter Update for Street Fighter V tomorrow. So that's going to happen. And then I'm going to go live. Yeah, you always got to work. And then Valheim, whenever I'm like not doing that worky stuff. So yeah, I would love to have you. We have a great little community, the Gilded Guild. Shout out to my crew that came through, like Scan as well as Kiwi. They were watching today. So huge shout out to you guys. And yeah, check me out on stream. I think I'm entertaining. I don't know. My wife doesn't think so, but maybe someone would, So if you happen to enjoy it, come on by. Love to have you. But thank you guys for having me, and feel free to call anytime because I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're always welcome on the show as well. That's maybe my favorite shout out that a guest has done. I think I'm entertaining. I don't
Dude, I have no idea. I go to my wife, I'm like, babe, I think I was like really funny today. She's like, I was like, all right, well, yes, that's
she
that,
keeps you honest. That's
Yeah.
good. That's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah.
All right.
It's good. It's good.
We're over time. We got to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another episode every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. 1 p.m. Eastern is the time. We're out. We'll see you guys then. What the fuck?
I've only been doing it for what, 4 years?
Yeah, I don't. Why did 6 p.m. Eastern even enter? I don't do anything at 6. I think I do one. We'll see you next week. Bye. Have a good one.